So great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a joy, Joe.
So let's begin our journey into your work by asking you this. 5 years ago, one of the biggest events of our lifetime began, which was COVID. We were about a month into it. So many things happened, so many unknowns. How much of living through that time period has affected the way that you live life today?
It was monumental, instrumental for the whole world. Specifically, I mean, personally, I was leading events all around the world. I was on stages all around the world. I was speaking at CEO conferences, business conferences all around the world. And I lead two masterminds in which we have private gatherings. I have the CEO mastermind. We have private retreats that we do a few times a year. And all of that stopped. All of that stopped. Our coaching organization, where we train physicians and therapists and coaches, all the gatherings stopped.
Yeah.
And so I had to go, okay, my work is really potent with real people in front of me, right? When we're in front of each other, there's something that's magical when humans are with humans and we get to do amazing work. That had to stop.
Yeah.
And I had to reroute myself and figure out how can we have just as powerful, effective transformation with the people I work with online. And it took a few weeks. We cracked the code. My life became simpler in terms of travel. And so I haven't traveled much in terms of getting on stage and so forth. But that's starting up again now, which I actually like. So I actually enjoyed the down gearing, although it was a bit of a tense experience at the beginning. I enjoy the down gearing of going out in the world, but now my spirits call me to get back out there on the road. I love meeting eye to eye leadership, meeting people right eyes to eyes.
That was the irony of that time was we were so connected technologically speaking, but we got that thirst to be around human beings. We wanted to be in the same room, instead of it being this virtual element that we've been used to.
It's natural. Our nature is to be human to human. We have this amazing technology. You and I are chatting across the seas and across, a whole country in
Yeah.
North America. Yet, when we get to meet each other one day, and I hope we do,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Then it's even more of a joyous occasion. So I think we need to have both this type of interaction online, but we cannot let go of what really makes our souls, our happiness as humans, which is coming together, enjoying collaboration, breaking bread, dancing, singing,
Yeah.
and creating.
Absolutely. So let's get into your good work. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of fifth grade students at Career Day. One of the kids in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
So I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm an advisor to founders of companies, entrepreneurs, business leaders, CEOs, and I work with them on a mental, emotional, physical, spiritual level. So I help dial them up to be the most potent expressions of their leadership. I help them dial up their family life so they're enjoying not only success in business, but they're enjoying success at home with their partners, with their passion, and that they're becoming more whole beings with their whole life. And then what I also do is once we've got that established, then we work with their teams so
Yeah.
that we create a super team that's also enjoying fulfillment, that has a purpose and a passion in their company, that evokes the whole team to go into a gear of excellence. So really, I'm a coach and mentor to the top elite leaders on the planet.
So what did you want to be in the fifth grade? What was your dream life?
I wanted to be a kung fu teacher.
Okay. Right on.
I saw Bruce Lee. I saw all the kung fu TV shows and the movies of that era, 70s and such. And I went, wow, I want that because there was the mystique, there was the martial aspect as a young fellow, that's always intriguing.
Yeah.
But there was this wisdom element, this ancient wisdom element that touched my heart. And lo and behold, I went on that path. I was very blessed to find a kung fu master at 12 years old. And that's where I started my martial arts journey, which I've continued to this day.
Yeah. So take me back to your childhood. What were these foundational elements that have allowed you to be a coach and a leader and to help people get to a better place in their lives?
I had remarkable mentors. My kung fu teachers originally, the original ones, are good. They were solid, good men with high morals, They didn't teach anything about any particular religion, but they were examples and demonstrations of men with high integrity, high morals, living a clean life, no drinking, no smoking, no running around. They were studying higher thinking, they were studying philosophy. But here's the main thing I got to tell you, Joe. As an apprentice instructor, I became an apprentice at 13. We had to study a creed, and we also had to study, if you will, a mission, a goal. And it was two things. We, the instructors, care, and we, the instructors, are helping people help themselves.
Yeah.
Those two statements we had to say every time we came in as an apprentice instructor into the school. We had to just do a little meditation on, we the instructors care, and we the instructors are helping others help themselves.
Yeah.
So that imprint was huge and has been huge all my life. I love to serve other people, but I also love to see them grow their own strength, their own power, their own clarity, their own wisdom. And I think when we're in I'm grateful that they inspired me to be a man of service,
Yeah.
because when you're serving others, life becomes so much happier
Yeah.
and fulfilling.
Yeah. So when did you know this was going to be your path? Did you have a client? Did you have an epiphany? What was the moment that you knew that you were going to coach and help people?
Well, it started with martial arts. I was a reluctant apprentice. I was very insecure and nervous and in front of people and such, but my teachers saw that I cared and that I had potential. So they continued to inspire me, took me underneath their wing, and then in a way almost forced me to teach. They would throw me in, okay, go ahead and lead this class, or this instructor is not well today, you're going to lead the class. And I'd be like, what? And so I got thrown in, as Bruce Lee said, you can't learn how to swim on dry land.
Yeah.
You got to get in the water. So my teacher threw me in the water, and then I got the bug for it. And when I saw children, first I started off with children and teenagers, teaching them. And when I saw them light up and feel good about themselves and feel confident and overcome bullies and just be more of a positive member of society, that lit my heart up. That led me to healing. I also studied martial arts. And then my Kung Fu master says you should also learn healing. In Kung Fu, the masters have to learn not only the harm side of martial arts, the yang, but you got to also learn the healing side. So I went deep into that, and that's been my life ever since, learning martial arts and all types of healing: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. I went to go on study therapy, all the different types of therapeutic interventions. And now we have our own academy where I teach very powerful spiritual practices and coaching techniques which create like rapid, profound, permanent results.
You know, the irony of martial arts is that it's a physical realm that you defend yourself. But it almost seems as though by proxy and through the process of getting to that point, you almost build your brain up to a point where you inoculate and stop physical aggression because of the training that you're doing with your mind. Is that kind of the
Yes.
idea?
Yeah, it's a paradox. You're learning something deadly and for self-defense,
Yeah,
but and this is that comes from the philosophy of the East of yin and yang.
yeah,
Yang is the warrior aspect of us, right?
yeah,
And the yin is the and the yin is the soft, the feminine within us. And the idea is that you need to learn both.
yeah,
A man who's just strong and hard and doesn't have softness, a man who's just spine, he can break easy. A man who's just hard and open hearted, he
yeah,
can be stepped on easy. That's why it's good to have a strong spine and an open heart.
absolutely.
If you're just open hearted, you'll be a new age, floaster, wimpy. Might be good in the heart, but not going anywhere. If you're
Yeah,
just too stern and macho and rigid and you're masculine, you'll get too stiff and dry and not enjoy the pleasures of life. You'll all be postponing. One day when I reach this, I'll be happy. That's
yeah.
why it's important to have that yin and yang within us and to appreciate that spectrum within us so we enjoy life. We're not postponing until later.
Absolutely. So, being somebody that's going into businesses and helping high-powered leaders, who is a leader that you emulate, that you look up to, that's doing it the right way?
Well, there's controversy around all of them because all the leaders are loved and hated. But I'll tell you something: if you're doing strong work in the world, you're going to be loved and hated.
Yeah,
If you don't want to be hated, you don't want to have criticism, then just be tepid and hide underneath the thing. But there's a interview I just watched with Lex Friedman and the Prime Minister of India, Modi.
Yeah.
Modi, and it's a phenomenal interview. The way this man is, his character, his being, the way he leads 1.4 billion people in a country
Yeah.
with 2,500 political parties,
Yeah.
and the way he does it with character, with wisdom, with insight, with meditation, with spirituality. He really stood out to me as one of our leaders of our time. Of course, there's no one does a perfect job. Of course, everyone has criticism. You can't lead a billion plus people and not have others, not have people that don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
But as an overall, to me, he's a example of an enlightened, transcendent leader. And when I saw that interview, I got to see the inner workings of him. I
Yeah.
was just recently in India. I got to see his home state, of which he was the governor, if you will, for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And it's the most prosperous, booming, clean, Ford city and state in all of India.
Wow.
So he's proved it with his results and records on the ground as well as spiritually, which is to me a unique combination.
Absolutely. So when you look at your history of clients that you've had, what was one of the roughest, um, one of the toughest jobs that you had, but it ended up being something that made you grow and got the result that you wanted out of your client?
One of my esteemed clients, one of my mentees, has shared about this, Paul Riley, in my book called Transcendent CEO. So I'll share the story
Yeah.
openly. Um, he started a software company many years ago. It was running about 11, 10, 11, maybe almost 12 years with a brilliant idea. Brilliant. He's a genius. He's a software, he's an engineer, geek. But how to express it, getting it going, he was basically on the edge every month, sometimes week to week, trying to pull in money, trying to pull in this to keep it going, keep it going. Exasperated, he reaches out to me. He had heard of my work and says, "Listen, can you help me shore up my company, get it ready, get it solid, help me present, express what the power of this is?" So I looked at it and I spent 2 days with his executive team going, "What the heck does it do?" I'm not as a technical computer geek like he is.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, it took me 2 days to crack the code. And I went, "You mean to tell me this predicts when stuff is going to break down in advance?"
Yeah.
The
Wow.
engineers couldn't say it so easily.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was an internet of things. I says, "Okay, so here's the new," and I helped them craft a new mission, creating a world that doesn't break down.
Yeah.
So Paul started giving talks and fundraising and computer shows and software development shows and such. And he started sharing the vision of a world that doesn't break down.
Yeah.
Imagine no more Exxon Valdez, no trains off the line, no planes falling out of the sky, because we were able to see these errors or the problems in mechanics way in advance and change out the equipment.
Wow.
So once he was able to express that in layman's terms, get it out there, the company shored up, everything started tightening up. He had an exit within less than 2 years of starting working with me, and he
Yeah.
made a very pretty life. He doesn't have to ever work again,
Yeah.
and he's had a very successful exit. And the software continues to be of service in the world. The company that bought it over, Aspen Tech, has continued to express it and take it around the world. So there's a story of, you could be at your wits' end with your family. His wife is about to, like, is mad at him because working 7 days a week trying to keep his software company surviving. You know, we
Yep.
got to do what we got to do. But
Yep.
he's mad. Wasn't spending time with his wife. Short period of time, turned it all the way around because he started on the inside first. And you know what was really mind blowing? Part of the default mechanism he had on a subconscious level was he didn't want to be successful, because if he did, he felt his friends, his buddies from school back in the day in Ireland would chide him. They would judge him for being a rich guy.
Yeah.
So he
Sure.
kept that unconscious imprint from keeping him successful. Once we transform that unconscious loyalty to the past, and he says, "I don't need to do that. I can be successful and treat my bros for a good time, take them
Yeah.
around the world."
Yeah.
So that shifted and everything else turned around since then.
That's
So
wonderful.
Our subconscious mind has a lot. I would say 90% of what it takes to make us successful in life.
That's fascinating. So you're dealing with a lot of these leaders that are in a world where things move fast. Technology moves fast. Thoughts move fast. AI is showing us that things are at warp speed. How do you keep up? How do you stay educated and aware and ready to go in to all of these different scenarios and situations?
So it's important that we have a information diet. And by that means I focus myself and I train my leaders that I serve to focus on what is the essential places you need to get information of. And the rest shut right down. Close it off, exit out of your apps, pull it off your phones, get rid of it. Minimize all forms of distraction. We're in an attention economy, which means everything's trying to get our attention. Every news headline, every all the news, the news says if it bleeds, it leads. What
Yep.
a philosophy for news. Well, as leaders of business, we're being bombarded with nonstop imprints to try to get us to lure us in, to
Yep.
get vehement about something. So we got to lower the importance, lower the vehemency around all of this, detach from everything that's trying to suck our emotional energy and get us to be sided, get us to be against others. Those are all psycho emotional psyop tactics.
Yeah.
When we let go of all of that and we go, what's my truth? What's in my heart? What's my purpose? What's my mission? What's my soul's calling? And that's what I challenge and take my guys deep into to find their soul's calling, their challenge. Then when they do that, the rest of the noise falls away. What's pure and clear and true stays. And then the path is narrow and straight and success is assured because we're not getting sucked up by all the bullshit in life.
Absolutely. So how do you remain balanced in your life? Or what is your philosophy on being balanced? How do you go into these scenarios and deal with heavy stuff with thought leaders and with business leaders and then take care of your own soul? How do you balance that?
That's a great question. So, there's many systems that have a life chart and life. Mine is inspired by one of my mentors, Kevin Nations, and
Yeah.
I call it the five freedoms. So, faith. Faith is our connection to ourself and God. Faith, family, our connection to our loved ones and the larger family and the larger world and our teams, faith, family, finance, making sure we're not just earning, we're saving, we're investing, we're wise with it, we're building long term wealth, faith, family, fitness, making sure we take care of the temple of our body,
Yeah.
keeping it strong so we can be the best leader, the best lover, best fathers, best mothers we can be. Faith, family, finance, fitness, and I've shared about that. And then the last one is fun.
Yep.
Like we gotta have fun in life. We can't just have fun when I've made crushed it, when I've attained the goal. Have a fun every day.
Yep.
You never know when we're gonna drop dead in any moment, any time. You know,
Yep.
so we might as well enjoy the pursuit, but also the process, the steps along the way. And what I like to do is I like to have with all my CEOs that I mentor, I like to have a monthly look in. Where's our faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun? Okay, we put a lot of emphasis on, our business, our, finances this last 3 weeks. How about let's put some energy on our family and our faith and our fun, or wherever we need to. So, to me, there's no such thing as arriving in balance, but there's the art of equilibrium.
Yeah.
It's the art of equilibrium and staying buoyant. You might need to invest next 2 weeks in your family because you haven't spent time with them.
Yeah.
Take the time to do that. Take the
Yeah.
time to love them. And you know what the paradox is? When we keep all the freedoms potent, faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, they all get better.
Yep.
I
Yep.
used to think the opposite, that if I spend more time with family or this, my business is going to suffer. It's bullshit. It's the opposite.
Yep.
It's the
Yep.
opposite.
Totally. So let me
Happy
ask
wife, happy kids means happy success.
100%. So let me ask you this. Speaking of fun, let's say you walk into a room of all the clients that you've serviced throughout the years, and you walk up and swim through that group of people to a podium, and you can tell them one fun story about you, a fun adventure, something that would humanize you in a different way. What would you tell that room? Thank
Oh God. You got really great questions. Very
you.
penetrating, Joe. So I used to be so insecure about speaking in front of anyone like this. I'd stutter, I'd wobble, I'd freak out, I'd sweat. So the story I want to share is that early on in my training with my mentors, they always would push me to do something before I thought I was ready. And I remember one time, one of my crazy zany mentors, Stewie Wild, he was the mentor to Deepak Chopra. He was a mentor to Wayne Dyer, a lot of notables of that era. And he was my teacher.
Yeah,
I was very close to him. And he was training me on humor and equilibrium and how to change the energy in the space in a room.
yeah,
So we're driving along. We pull over. We're in the countryside. And he says, "See that bar? It's a biker bar. Why don't you go in there? And I'm going to come in about an hour and I got to see a lot of people laughing or smiling around you. You're a brown guy, Indian. This is a very perhaps racist place. I don't know, but he was scaring me that way. So I'm like, and he goes, if I come in an hour and everyone's not smiling or there's some bubbly laughter going on around you, I'm not going to teach you for a year. You got to get out of here and leave."
wow.
And I went, "Yes, sir." He was one of these radical teachers.
Yeah,
So I went in there. There's this biker gang. They all look at me like, and I don't drink. I don't even drink alcohol.
yeah,
So I order a ginger ale. I sit down next to this biker guy and his lady, and I look at him and I go, "Okay, I got to crack the ice." They're looking at me in like, "Who is this guy? This is weird. Who is this guy?" And I go to him and I go, "Hey, your wife is a really beautiful woman. Your gal's a beautiful woman." And he's like, and I go, "Wow, what do you love about?" And I look at her and I go, "What do you love about this guy? He's got to be something to it for you to love him." And she says, "Oh, I love this about him, that about him." Anyways, he started smiling and then I said, what do you love about her?" And anyways, they were sharing about what they loved each other. We built affinity. There was a buddy started happening. And then an hour later, my teacher came in and started giggling and sat down with us. So that was a very trying time. I didn't know if I'm going to get my ass kicked.
yeah, right.
I
Man,
didn't know if
that,
I was going to get a bottle over my head.
yes.
But I figured, let me take a chance
Yeah.
with love. Let me make a real connection, and I passed the test. So that was my test that I went through.
Man, people love talking about themselves though, and if you present it that way, especially people that are in love, when you start doing that and they realize things they hadn't heard, that's perfect. That's like that's it. That's the serendipity. So let me ask you this: of everything that you've done and accomplished and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
I don't want to sound trite, but I'm proud of my daughter and my son
Yeah,
as a father. They're 28 and 26. They're very brilliant and powerful, and they have their own powers of accomplishment and skill sets. In my family, my personal pride is that I achieved my Shaolin Kung Fu master's level black belt, and then I became a fifth degree over many years. And now I'm also studying. I've been studying Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for quite a few years, and I'm a purple belt in that. And I'm proud of myself in that because many times with the stresses and all the work I have and travel, I don't feel like going all the time,
yeah.
but I push myself. I get my lazy bones back in gear. I align myself when I go, and I always feel like $1 million afterwards. So I'm proud of how I've conquered that part of my mind that would prefer comfort over challenge,
Yeah.
and I've gotten good with that.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that you work with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm a simple nerd dweeb who happened to get his ass together with martial arts and who had great teachers to see his weaknesses and love him into his strengths. So I'm just a regular guy which has learned extraordinary capacities and I'm on the not only the shoulders of giants, I'm on the shoulders of mountains.
Yeah, I love that
And
answer.
so, yeah.
So let me ask you this. If anyone has questions, they want to hire you, they want to reach out, any of the good business, get your book, anything that's going on, where do they go?
Go to WarriorSage.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook Messenger. I'm active on Facebook. People like my posts there, on Instagram as well. But if you want to find out about my deeper work and get dialed up on all my resources, my books, as well as get on our mailing list, or whenever I have live retreats and such, get to WarriorSage.com. That's a treasure trove of wisdom from all around the world.
I love it. I will hop on that mountain and put it in the show notes. Thank you, sir. This has been so good, so illuminating. Thank you for the work you're doing. I love your spirit. It just shines. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. A pleasure and honor and a joy.
Thank you. All right, this has been great. Thank you so much. I just with the way the world is, we need the strength that you have. There's just you're vibrating at a different level, and I just feel it. I love it, man. Totally love it.
Oh, brother, thank you. You're so generous too today. Your questions are like some of the best I've had. Listen, do me.
Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.